Hello YouTube and welcome back. I'm Gary Adams and welcome to the Cockney Workshop. Today I'm going to be building a couple of cupboards for the bedroom because my wife's filled the fitted wardrobes that I built up and she's took over my one and filled it up with all her handbags and all her shoes, so my wardrobe's now squashed. So hence the new cupboards for the bedroom. And it's only out of cheap timber, plywood and pine, and they're going to be painted up. I've already pre-cut down some plywood into quarters and milled up a little bit of the old C16 and cut them off to rough lengths. So it's all pre-rough cut, all ready for working out how we're going to put it all together. So stick around and you'll see how we get on. Alright? Right, so here's the plywood. I've got two sheets of 8x4 plywood. I've just basically cut them in half both ways in the quarters. I've then got some C16 stuff and just cut them to about 1 3/8 inch square and quickly run them through the planer to get them all nice and square. Anyway, here we go. Right. This is my sketch and it's as simple as that. The rest is in my head as per usual, so we'll make it up as we go along. It stands about 4 feet high and it's about 3 foot wide. Okay, started pouring down the rain, so you can probably hear that in the background. Basically the first job of the day is to take one of the legs. I've set up a dado cutter to cut out the thickness of the plywood and centre it as much as possible. Run it all the way down, set into a stop to leave 6 inches from the bottom, and these will later on be tapered out as the feet of the cupboards, and then just chisel out the bottom bit. So I'll show you how I do that. I've marked a line on the table where to stop for the end of the cut, so I don't go too far, and we'll see how we go from here. Right, this one will be fast forwarded. Okay, so these are all marked out now, so we have to chisel these up and get these cleaned out. Right, I'll come back when they're all done. Okay, next procedure was to make the tops and bottoms of each side panel. Milled out the slot the same as before, and they're all ready to be cut to length and have a tenon cut on each end. Okay, I've trimmed up the side panels a little tiny bit off top and sides, for the actual panelling, so they fit in between all the frame I've made. I'm now going to set up and cut little grooves down the board to make it look like individual planks on the sides, because that's what the missus wanted. So what the missus wants, the missus gets.
What the missus wants, the missus gets. What the missus wants, the missus gets.
So all I'm doing is I've worked out a few distances on the board for the widths, and I just set the saw blade just to take a little nibble out, and that's what I'm doing now. Okay. Well, that's all 4 side panels with my grooves cut in. So we've got a nice 4-inch planks, which looks quite a nice size. Right, okay, I'll show you how this is going to go together. These have got little tenons on, which fit in the groove on the posts. We've got a groove on the bottom, which fits on the bottom of the panel, and both sides, top and bottom. So let's take a look, see if it fits alright. Get a little bit of bow in the plywood. Square. Right, so here is one of the side panels made up. So that dry fit is all perfect, all tenoned in. I'll have to just trim the top posts off because they're just a little bit proud, but that was intentional in case they got damaged. Yeah, that's one panel dry fitted. Okay, right, this is the bottom and the front, and I want to taper the legs. So I want to taper it going back from the front, so I'll mark that along there, and I want it coming from the side going in, so I can mark that on there the way of the taper. Same on the back one, I want it coming in from the back, which I've marked there, and I want it tapering in from the side. This is a jig I made up a while ago for a little cabinet I made before. Basically put the leg in, mark the sides you want to cut and run it through. So I've took this leg off so I don't get confused. As you can see, that's one side. Now I've got to cut the other side, which is here. So put that on, slide it back up, and then we'll run it through. And here we go. Tapers in and tapers back. That's it. Here we go. I've undone the dry fit which I had on the side panels, and we're now ready to start sanding them a bit smoother, ready for paint. Okay, I'm going to be using this paint. It's a furniture paint. It doesn't need any undercoat. It's a matte finish, and I tried a little sample out on it. It appears to be absorbent, of all things, once it's dry. So I've decided that when I do this, I'm going to give it a light rub down sand and then top coat it with varnish. Pour a bit in there. What I forgot to do was do the grooves first. Okay, I've cut the front rails, all the bits that go between the sides at the front and back. They've all been cut to length and they've got to receive tenon on the end. Now we've got to work out the size back across. Okay, next up, machined the deeper cut for the tenon. Rightio, it's pouring down with rain. What a nice change from that baking hot 97 degrees sweltering heat, which is a freak of nature for England, believe me. Okay, next up is the shelves. There's two of these shelves. There's one, here's the other one. Pretty much was a piece of plywood cut out to the right width, right length, and if you remember I had these rails already cut with the tenons on the end. No rocket science, so I didn't really film doing it too much. Basically, if you can see, it's just a little rabbit cut out and that fits in there like that, and then it's just glued and clamped together. So these were clamped up last night and I've just undone these. So they're what I call my structural shelves, one at the bottom and one at the top underneath the drawer, so it's like a dust shelf, so you never really get to see the top of it. But yeah, so next up I've got to reinforce this part, because although the tenons go in the posts on the sides, I want to reinforce this and cut a slot out so that I can tenon the sides to it, so that it holds it nice and strong and is structurally sound then. So yeah, that's what we're getting on with next. Okay, now we've got all the shelves done. with the nice tight tenon in there. That's easy fix because I can just sand this down a little bit if it's tight. But it will go in and it will locate on the sides. So next up is to put the tenon on the sides in the right position. Okay. So we've got the mortise there and the tenon there, screwed and glued to the bottom rail. So when the shelf fits on, it'll locate on this and them, and all be glued in, and then we can pop a couple of screws or whatever, or pins in there. But it'll be under clamp anyway when it's assembled. Okay, next up, this is where the shelf for the base of the drawer will go. So I'll mark it out, put a tenon on this, and then we go. Okay, this is the tenon on for the shelf under the drawer, and we have the other one up that end. We're on the side panels. This is the back edge of the side panel, so where the backboard's going to go in this. So I've got to route out a slot to receive the back panel. It's going to be made out of 12mm MDF. Put a slot in there. It's a bit close to the tenons, but we've got lots of strength from this, so it'll be fine. And that'll fit in there lovely. All the shells have had a 12mm slot on to take the MDF and the back piece, so that fits in there nice and snug. Job done. Okay, I'm just giving this re-edging a little go with the black paint because it needs to be done, so I might as well do it now. So it's all done before assembly, and I think that's about it. Really awkward paint to use. The effect we're looking for is a sort of almost weathered, sort of French style farmhouse sort of look, if you know what I mean. Okay, this is the backboard, just cut to size and the grooves put down it to make it look like boards. Okay, and that's all cut down, ready to go in after it's painted or before it's painted, one of the two. Okay, next up I'm going to be working on the tops, so I've got to get them marked out and worked out. Okay, I'll show you what I've got. I've milled up some plywood. These are going to go across to stiffen up the top and screwed and glued to them, and all the way around in the grid work I'll show you. But first of all, I've got to cut a dado in all the way around to receive the plywood, and that'll keep it nice and true and square. Okay, I've screwed a fence as a guide on my router so that I can mill out a dado to take these plywoods on the top. So I've used a smaller size router, so I have to do it in two passes, which means I'll probably have to readjust this and open up the slot, but I think that should be okay, so we'll give that a go. And that appears to have worked. Then we'll do that all the way around. Okay, I've readjusted the fence on the router, and it should open the slot up just right. So keep your fingers crossed, and here we go. It goes in. That's it, it fits in.
There's a bumblebee trying to get our chicken.
Oh, a bumblebee trying to get your chicken? What the hell does that mean? A bumblebee trying to catch a chicken? I didn't know we had a chicken. Or a bumblebee. There you go. Learn something new every day. Okay, I've dry fit all the plywood in the dados all the way around. All the joints are nice and square, and it holds square. These ones I'm just going to glue and screw down. I'm not going to cut a dado out for them. So one down, one to go. Right, next up is to use a piece of this, a bit of 3B1, and cut up some edge banding for the front piece on the tops. Ball nose in it, cutting it down the width and planing it up to the right thickness. Okay? Well, that's it, all varnished up and stained, so looking good. Okay, I just made a piece of ball nose up and tapered the edging down so it goes on the backboard on the top piece of the cupboard. Okay, just to stop things from falling off, simple as that. Stain it up and varnish it now, and then it's done. That's the yellow. Now the brown. Right, hiya. Lovely and windy out today. Today we're going to be doing the drawer. But out of 80mm plywood again, the edges, and the base will be out of 12mm, I think it is. Right, so let's get cracking with the drawer. Turn the power on might help. Next, run a groove in on the table saw to receive the base. Right, they've all got the slot to receive the base of the drawers in. Okay, we've now nibbled this one out. We've got to cut a rabbit on the end of this so it can go into these. Okay. All the power's failed. Power cut.
Hey, what me?
Well, it was a little bit of a battle to get this drawer together because it's quite a big one and to keep it all nice and square, but it is actually gone together, and that'll do. We'll give it a clean up with a sander on the outside, and then we'll make the front face for it. Okay. Right, next up is making the drawer fronts. I need a 4-inch piece in the middle and edged with slightly thicker pieces all the way around, like picture framed. I'll show you what I mean anyway, but this is what we're up to. Alright, cheers. Basically, I didn't show the filming of it, but basically make some rails 1.5 wide, rabbit them out, 45 degree it, and then drop a panel in, okay, which is what we've got here. Yeah, simple as that. And that will be sanded, the edges stained, varnished, and then put on. Okay. Spirit base wood dye, a light one. Now this one comes out yellow, and that one comes out like thick chocolate. So after many trial and error, or even error, I do the yellow one first, and then I do that one after. Okay, next up we're going to use the dark brown, okay, on the yellow. Well, I don't know what happened to the camera, but it missed all that. But you've seen people stain things before, so I don't suppose it really matters. But there it is, the shelf front. It's just got to be varnished now. Okay, the floating shelf to make, it's quite simple. Bit of plywood cut out and a little rabbit cut down it, and set the panel on it. Job done. Sits on a couple of runners, which are here, just a bit of plywood screwed to the inside and a shelf will drop on it. So won't go into detail with that, but that's all it is. Painted, varnished. Okay. Well, we're nearly done. Just the 2 doors to make. So last bit of push for the finish. Okay. So let's get on with it. Do you like them?
Love them.
Okay, the cupboards are both done. I've had to install them in situ. I couldn't really film it putting it all together, but you know how it goes together because I've described it and explained it. It was too cramped to try and set up a camera and try to put them together in here. But they're all in, up and running. We've got the handles. We've got full extension drawers, which lock back.
I mean, it's the same.
Cupboards
It's the same.
filled up with the shoes. And I've only just finished them. They're for left-handed. It's my wife's left-handed. Well, I hope you like that one. It was a bit of a long video, and I appreciate you for sticking around and watching, and please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Good luck and cheers.